Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, Black women on Utah women college basketball team gets reminded question mark during March Madness 2024. Black women question mark on a women college team in Utah got reminded of racial racism and the naiveness of when did racial racism stop, especially toward American blacks. Let me read the definition of naive. Having or showing a lack of experience or knowledge, innocent or simple. Wait a minute now. I agree to a certain extent with that definition. At the same time, it is if if you're in your early 20s, oh my goodness, you just don't know nothing. How does that sound?
I thought it was dumb. Maybe you're right.
Because that's illogical. There are numbers of American black males and females that were in their early 20s themselves. I'm talking about reality thinking ones, not sellouts and gullible ones, because you still have those and even an older age bracket, unfortunately, which is another type of problem in itself. But there are ones that were in their early 20s that still knew something about racial racism. And even now, there are still certain numbers of American black males and certain type of American black women that also know about certain types of racial racism. So when I read this article about, oh my goodness, so when I read this article, it was like the article talks about how this particular, this Utah women's college team, how the coach relayed that the team was shaken, right? After this racism and this hate during this particular March Madness 2024 tournament. Again, when did racial racism, terrorism stop? It has not stopped, right? The story goes is, and I'm just gonna just go over certain parts of this. Members of the Utah women's basketball team were basically subjugated to racism, right? That's very generic. The racism is very generic, right? Not they make you not to put racial racism in there, right? It's a very definitive scenario on that, not racism. That's very general, based upon in general race. You put racial racism, and you definitely add on, especially toward American blacks. That the team was subjugated basically to racism near their hotel in Idaho about last week sometime when a pickup truck with a Confederate flag drove near them and the driver began using offensive language, including, don't say the word, including the N word. The team was left shaken and wound up moving to a different hotel the next day. again, the naiveness, as if racial racism, terrorism has just stopped in various parts within Americanism, modern day. Let me sit there and show you something.
I don't believe in segregation. I believe in slavery.
Wait a minute. Let's play that. Let's play it one last time. Let's play it one last time.
I don't believe in segregation. I believe in slavery.
That picture in the background was of a burning cross. And many types of Confederates, racial racism, Confederate personnel that was a symbol of hatred. Now that was going on before these Utah College basketball women were even born. It was still going on then. And you hear what I just read, that they were talking about how a pickup truck with a Confederate flag drove near them, and the driver began using offensive language, including the N-word. When did it stop? Right? When did it stop? Continuing, they talk about how this particular Utah coach said her team experienced a series of hate crimes as arriving at its first NCAA tournament hotel in this particular part of Idaho. Coeur d'Alene, probably saying it incorrect. COEUR_D''ALENE, Idaho. The coach revealed this happened after Utah lost to Gonzaga in the second round of the tournament. They talked about how the coach said the incidents happened one of those particular last Thursday, one of the Thursdays before that, something to that effect, after the team arrived, and they were disturbing to the travel party to the point where there are concerns about safety. Utah and other teams played their games in Spokane, Washington, and the UTEPs, the Utah College women's basketball team, were staying about 30 miles away in that particular hotel in Idaho. And which was about 30 miles away, because I guess it was very packed at the hotels closer by. But they were relocated to a different hotel the next day. The coach relayed, and I guess some other people, we had several instances of some kind of racial hate crimes toward our program, and it was incredibly upsetting for all of us. Basically, coach relayed, in our world, in athletics, and in university setting, it's shocking. Hold on, let me repeat that. They relayed, talking about the coach relayed, and I guess whoever else, in our world, in athletics, and in university settings, it's shocking. There is so much diversity on college campus, and so you're not exposed to that very often. The illogical, silly. If I looked up the demographics, the college demographics of that Utah college, and see how small percentage of American blacks, how the hell is that considered diversity? But see, here we go again. See, these are the silly games that's played upon, especially American blacks. About the ones that don't know this, that this naiveness of thinking that, oh my goodness, what was then, what was a long time ago. And supremacists is sitting there laughing at that type of illogical ignorance. This is what supremacists is doing when they hear people say such illogical ignorance, right? And this is what they do. That's what they do. Did you hear that relay over? Basically, the coach was saying, and whoever else in our world, in athletics and in university settings, is shocking. There is so much diversity on college campus, and so you're not just exposed to that very often. The ignorance of that statement, where there are uncalculable number of videos, especially of black college players being subjugated to racial racism terrorists. There are high numbers of college basketball players that have been reminded themselves of racial racism terrorists. There are however many semi-black professional personnel in however parts of the globe that have played and heard about racial racism terrorists. And you got somebody talking about, oh my goodness, the diversity in college settings and athletics is shocking. And you got silly-minded numbers of millions of modern-day American blacks, the ones applies to, keep bonded to that nonsense. I'm not going to read the rest of the story on that because it's so ridiculous. As if racial racism terrorists has stopped, right? And remember, they said that in our world, in athletics and university settings, it's shocking. There is so much diversity in college campus, and so you're not exposed to that very often. How many American black women have, especially pre-1970s, that would tell you that they had racial racism terrorists put upon them at some predominant college with predominant personnel of the predominant-based culture? Because most other people who are late Susan come latelys and Chuck come latelys that have no damn clue about reality-based racial racism, because many are latecomers. And unfortunately, numbers of American blacks, by the millions modern day, in their thick skulls, continue to keep allowing people to play within quite a number of American blacks like fiddles. I would have been insulted if I would have heard this. I would have been insulted. Let's say, wait a minute now. So what do you think been happening for the last 3 or 4? What do you think been happening for the last several centuries toward American blacks? In colleges, in businesses, in various parts of the service. Where has this naive fool been at? Not them personally. The naive statement or statements from whoever personnel. And relaying in closing of this, because I was gonna go a little bit longer, but I'm not gonna even do that. I just want to let me just do a quick show on this because it was so ridiculously when I heard this story. And for many people, because again, whoever the person listens to this broadcast, the next day, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever it is, and again, I use this as a timepiece purpose. So then when these things continue to keep happening in some kind of way, then what? Let me sit there and show you something. Let me sit there and just show something for a second here. Remember I said, when did it stop? Right? Watch this. Give me a second here. When did it stop? This ain't a long time ago in the back. That's Confederate flag. Confederate flag. Confederate flag. And see, there are people who have the face of black, who know they are, that are attachers. Now I'm not talking about numbers of good ones. That's going to be a very small amount. that are within American uh, geographics, because however numbers of ones in certain parts of a continent, certain parts of an island or islands, the ones this applies to are attachers. They have the face of black, but they mean no American black any good. They only here to try to get what they can, and then pretend to slide under the black banner when it's convenient for them. Oh, that's a whole different topic, or topics that's still not talked about enough. They know who they are, the ones who do that. And it's disgusting. Because how many of the attachers, the one it applies to, run as fast as possible from that person's continent or island to islands, etc., right? Because there would be nothing in their own original country or islands. They would not stand out collectively at all. And they know it and have the nerve to be within America, and some have the nerve of however numbers of none small to look down upon American blacks, for without the American blacks, many wouldn't even be in this country. So that person can go to hell. The ones who know they are, that attach themselves to within the blackism, but they know they can't stand the blacks. Some of them, they can go to hell. The ones that know who they are. For the good numbers of ones, which is not going to be that many, because first of all, the demographics are very small. But that's a whole different concept, a different type of topic. By the way, going with that demographics, as I was sitting there looking at the team. Give me a second. As I was sitting there looking at the team, give me 1 second here. I was looking at the team relating to the demographics of the racial component. I'm not going to say the name, and I'm not going to say the specific city. I'm just going to say this. I'm looking at this one in particular, would follow the Anglo, from within they are from, like I said, it's birthplace within a certain city in Utah. This other woman college basketball player in Utah, birthplace in Colorado, looks like a regular Anglo person. This other person, when you look at them, they can easily slide under the racial category of white. Easily, but they're not of American whiteism. It said that their birthplace is in Spain. This other particular Utah woman college basketball player, it says Minnesota. This other one is a people of color that slides under a certain banner. Not saying specifically the person itself, couldn't care less. But they're a person who know they are that slide under certain type of people of color banners and get reparations. They know who they are, but American blacks can't get no reparations. They're told to get over the past. But we are told by what we call Native Americans, hey, oh my goodness, you got to feel sympathy. And most people don't ask, which Native Americans are you talking about? And certainly there are quite a number of people within various parts of the Pinal-based culture. They don't say, I had nothing to do with nothing about toward no Native Americans, right? Because however many are scary to say that. But at the same time, you start talking about reparations for blacks. Oh my God, we got a problem with that. Our American blacks, they got a problem. You see the hypocrisy? So this particular basketball player is within the people of color Native Americanism, or that particular Native Americanism from Alaska. This other particular one that falls within the Angloism is from South Dakota. Now we start getting to this one that looks like could be American black from Arkansas, most likely from Arkansas. This other one, I said black women ? This particular woman, she's definitely not American black, right? I'm looking at her name, and different times you can tell collectively about the name or a certain external phenotype. Sometime or most of the time with that, with few exceptions. And this is one definitely a few exceptions. Or what this was definitely in the collective that yes, this is definitely not American Black. I'm not gonna say the name, but their birthplace is related to from Belgium. Now we already know Leopold and what that person, diabolical, deviant person did, whomever else too did to certain parts of personnel in Africa. Man, I guess. But on that part, see, you'll never tell certain personnel from certain parts of Africa, hey, don't ever talk about what that old deviant uh that came before, by the way, came before Hitler. Yeah, you know the Hitler person that certain personnel will make sure you won't forget. Leopold came before Hitler, by the way. And you'll never tell certain parts of personnel from Africa, hey, don't ever bring up that old bad Leopold, what he did to some African personnel. You would get cussed out. But how many numbers of personnel from certain parts of Africa, the ones who do, that have the nerve to be in America and try to tell American Blacks to stop talking about things when their demographics collectively are very small? You see how it goes. And again, I'm not talking about the good number of the ones that are over in America that know what's going on, but that's going to be a very small one, small piece. But that's a different topic in itself. So this particular person is most likely from Africa or some part of the Caribbean, but it's look like more toward some parts of Africa on that. But their birthplace was in Belgium. So parentheses Black woman, right? Or question mark Black woman, right? But can slide under the Black banner. So you think they really know anything about American Black pain? Just saying, right? But how many people get a chance to benefit off of Black pain? This other particular woman of Angloism, well, they have a different kind of name. That's not a regular American Black, American white name. So I'm not gonna say the name, but that's definitely not a regular American Black name. From Minnesota. Another one is from Utah. Another one is this is another Angloism that can slide under Anglo banner, but they said Australia. And people know, the ones who do know, how numbers of the original Australians, right, the Aborigines, the Black Aborigines over there, how they're still being treated. This other particular one that slides under the Anglo banner, they said from Portugal, right? One of the original colonizers. And this other particular looks like an American Black woman, perhaps, could be from California. And this other one, it can go either way as far as under which particular American white on the racial category, or a kind of a slider that can slide under the banner of white from Wisconsin. So what I just read is only but a couple of American Blacks. Because one of them I didn't relay over. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. It's not even important. But it looks like I'm gonna say it something. So it's only looks like about a couple of possibly American Blacks and maybe one that can slide under the Black banner, but it's not American Black. And the rest can slide under and are within the racial category of white. And you see how it sounds when I read that the personnel was saying that, oh, people were shocked. Shocked at what? Because you know what? Long after this is done with and stuff like that, however, the majority of Harvard College team, the women, they're going to go about their business anyway, right? And how many of them going to be around some racial racism terrorists that, I'm not saying they're going to be like that, but how many are going to be around them, right, in working environments and businesses and etc. And they're going to hear certain things that they ain't going to tell some of their if that American Black man or woman. Well, unless they're a sellout, then that's no big thing. But you get the point. So I just wanted to just kind of relay this over because it was just an interesting topic of story, because it was very barely talked about So this is all I want to relay over on that part of this story. When did it stop? American Black pain. And so a couple of these different American Black women on the team got reminded. And then, however, the particular woman that can slide under the Black banner, but original place of birth said Belgium, right? But under the skin of Black, right? Because there's different kind of numbers of African personnel as well that are in Belgium, right? But it's just interesting how, again, American Blacks are told to get over the past, right? But while other people can talk about the past, while people can sit there and take advantage, especially ones that are attachers that can run to America left and right, who know who they are. I'm not talking about the ones who don't come over to within America and have the nerve to try to look down upon American Blacks as they are latecomers coming over here, right? When that person's parents are latecomers within America, right? They know who they are. And again, I'm not talking about the good ones that are just coming to America that's trying to get certain things situated, and they definitely know that they owe the American Blacks their respect. And again, unfortunately, there are sellouts and gullibles, and there are some terribleness of internal self-hatred going on in modern day American Blackism, and it's done by design, right? But the point is that there are people who slide under the Black banner, the small numbers of ones that do give the respect that is due, not because of modern day American Blackism, but for the powerful historical American Black history that is of no comparison within America. No one comes close to the American Black history, and don't even think about saying something about Native Americans. Could person get their feelings hurt on that nonsense? Says numbers of Native Americans had what we would call American Blacks in slavery. So you can go to hell in that game. American Blacks are monolithic. Now, again, you may have the interracialness of here and there a little bit, but the majority of American Blacks come from American Black parents, where both parents and the great grandparents were American Blacks. They may throw a little Indian in there. What is that? Whatever that's supposed to mean, because they're Black Indians or Native Black Indians, which is a different topic in itself. But that's all I want to relay over in this particular show. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.